All right, we're live. Thanks for watching the VOD. I'll get someone to let me know if the sound is mixed properly once people come in, assuming people come in. And that will then make life better for those of you watching the VOD on YouTube. Until then, let's play some spawners. Hey Rascal, what's going on? Captain Hook, hello. Captain Hook. Is that Captain Hook with the Lost Boys? Captain Peter Pan's Captain Hook, or is it Captain Hook in the medicine show? Hey Pity, Thadvik, Queech. Hello, Slayheim. Sarinth. How are the music levels? It's very loud in my ears. Guten Abend, Cactus Coder. Hey, Synetic Sarinth. My dear friend Justin Beard, hello. Perez Dispenser. Justin said, how are you? I'm looking forward to getting my Bluetooth headphones today. There was a delay. Gonna put on some real heavy workout music. Yay. I'm all right, man. Like, it's Friday. I don't know what that means. I honestly don't. I thank God for my wife's schedule, because if I didn't have my wife's schedule, days don't really matter. Calendar days matter, because I look at the calendar and look at how much time we have left, but like, you know, Synetic said I'm retired. Days don't exist anymore. Same. I'm retired. Days of the week don't matter anymore. It's just deadlines and the deadlines and the how to say this in a way, in the topic of the day in social media for M&M. Hey Ollie, what's up, Coop? Thank you for all of your service, Coop. Thank you for your service. When is M&M getting Lovin's support? M&M chatter? I don't know what that is. What's up, Chaz Solo? What's up, Pattis? Slayheim, your high elf video. Good stuff. Every once in a while I'll grab it. I'll have a video pop up. And let me check this out. In this case, that video was very much one of me listening to it and going, yeah, man, that's got me excited. What's up, Miscellaneums? Rehawk. You had audio issues. I didn't notice any audio issues, I don't think. What's up, Sna? Corinthia said, happy Friday, everyone. I feel the schedule thing. As a stay-at-home mom, I just look forward to when my husband is off. I bet. A little assistance backup. Hey, Encrypt. Where's the new attack dog? I haven't seen it on stream recently. I could have sworn my last stream he spent the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes on my lap because he was panicked and I had to hop off. I actually ended the stream early so I could go take care of him because a storm scared him for the first time in his life. Little storm. Hey, Varere, Slam Bits, Nyx Reaver, Pinamu. Barathos. Say I'm said, love the unknowns and lore. Not a fan when everything is explained. You need mystery. It works really well in Eminem. We've tried desperately to make that. We've tried to be pretty intentional in the approach on that. I was showing somebody our behind the scenes lore yesterday because I'm kind of proud of what we've done organizationally with it, and we have an internal wiki that is that's got, you know, just everything we could pack in there, and it's linked, and, you know, timelines and various timelines and stuff from different perspectives, and, you know, various names of places, and, you know, the places and the regions and the people and the gods and the, you know, it's just all of that stuff. And then a lot of it's driven by where those places and those people are currently at, and their histories and their motivations, and some hints at where it's going and things like that. And I don't know, I was showing it to somebody that we were talking to yesterday, another developer, and who's been familiarizing himself with the project. And I was like, oh, check this out, you know. It's just kind of like, so it's cool. I don't know, maybe it's no big deal or whatever, but having worked on different games and talked to people who have worked on other games, it's nice to try to have all of that information in a place, organized, referenceable, internally consistent, and then just as people come up with ideas, we just put it in there, right? And sometimes they're very just one-off kind of, I had a random idea, like Goblin will concept something and it'll be like, oh, what about this? And then we may kick it around for like 15 minutes or 15 minutes in comments, even just comments in Confluence. I don't know how familiar you are with Confluence, but it's just like it's like corporate wiki. But it's got good functionality. It's kind of worth the price. But we set that up very early on. So I was like showing them tooling, documentation, and then we got into the fun stuff, the lore and stuff. And it's, you know, and you'll run into this thing, like I was saying, it might be Goblin painted something. We're like, what is this guy? And then what about this? And we just put all of that into just comments at first. And at some point, whenever I get a chance to do like the fun stuff, like my break, my treat to myself is like to be able to get back in there and just be like, cool. All right. So we had this ideas for this guy. Let's flesh him out a little bit more. And then we started linking it to the other stuff, and maybe it changed something over here. And it's really nice. We have an editor on the team. You'll see him in here. You'll see him in Discord sometimes under the moniker Loki. But professionally, he's a senior technical writer, and we brought him on to edit and do some writing. So he's also done a lot of the mud actions and stuff, especially the descriptive ones that you find around. And he's just done a fantastic job of like coming in and to helping clean stuff up and structure stuff and backlink things. And then every once in a while he'll hit it with some comments or questions. Well, I've seen this says this here and this says that over there. Which one is it? And then we'll flesh it out and stuff. Oh no, it's fun, man. The only company I worked at that had like a really legit lore Bible, believe it or not, was the last company, Star Stable Online. The online horse adventure game for girls had a hardback beautifully illustrated throughout, beautifully illustrated lore Bible that was like a couple inches thick, and it covered 60,000 years of the island that the game takes place on. Like 60,000 years of the island's history. And I was so blown away by it because I worked with Warner Brothers DC on DC Universe Online, and we are like, hey, what's the official lore Bible? Like, do you have a lore Bible for DC Universe? And they were just like, we have 70 years worth of comics you can read. And so then it was kind of a discussion that we had with, at the time, we mainly talked to some of their producers and editors at DC, but then also Jim Lee. And Jim Lee was like, cool, let's like sit down and, let's make like a definitive, and it, of course it's not definitive, because that's one of the things I like about DC is there's always a new interpretation of Gotham, or there's always a new layout of Gotham. But we are able to do like our DC Universe Gotham and Metropolis and all of that stuff, Gorilla Island or whatever, Arkham Asylum. And yeah, so it's kind of cool. It was nice. It was kind of fun, like pencil drafting back and forth with Jim Lee on like what that stuff is. But I haven't seen it. EverQuest didn't have good documentation. Other games, they don't invest in it really a lot of times, like good documentation of lore. So that's one of the things we wanted to definitely do from the onset here. So anyway, hopefully you guys wind up enjoying it. At the end of the day, it just matters that it gets out to you guys and you like it. But we want it to be... Blizzard has the red shirt guy. Oh, there's definitely some amazing people in the community that have figured out that lore over the years. But like in terms of an internal official document, sometimes it's lacking. Hey, Wolfen. Wolfen said, I have a few folks from my fast stream that love the game. I love that game. DC Universe Online or Star Stable? Hey, Cross. When will patch 025 be available? Excited to get my hands on TTK changes, stat adjustments, AC fix, etc. You guys, keep in mind that these are initial tweaks, and then we'll continue to... Right, like we're basically reestablishing a foundation so that we can do the work that we need to do moving forward. But I believe it's available Sunday. The Star Stable, really, Wolfen? We dropping another deep dive soon? Yeah, another deep dive or two, I think. It sounds like somebody even stated what they are. According to Discord a few minutes ago, someone had mentioned what the next two deep dives are. And then I was like, really? But they were accurate. Druid and Archer, correct. Yeah, I think we had like 3 folks who would talk about it on stream while I was hunting ghosts. Watched it off and on when I would raid one of them who was also trying to stream. It's a cool little game. Star Stable. Cactus Coder said, I realize we're deep in the work in progress phase. Just want to make sure that the goal is still to make experience yielding encounters challenging. It's not the intent for all classes to solo 0 to 60, right? Or did that change? I didn't understand the original intent. I thought the game was going to really push people to work together. Just want to make sure. Yeah, so the problem is we've had an intent for, I mean, since day one. Our execution on that intent over the years has in many places been inconsistent with the intent. Some of that is just because of what stage of development we're in. Some of that was because the people that were turning the knobs were just not working with the agreed upon intent. We would often have discussions behind the scenes about like, hey, this isn't really in alignment with the intent, but let's... And so it would kind of go back and forth, and sometimes there would be adjustments, and sometimes it was, you know, the reality of it was misaligned because of, again, the stage we're at in development. Something was missing, some support was needed, or whatever. But there have been times where like the leadership was misaligned and stuff just wasn't there. So now with regards to group versus solo, there is a tendency for people on one side to freak out and go, yeah, they're trying to make it super sweaty and everybody's got to be in a 6-man group to even get any experience points, and it's going to take you 54 years to get to level 60. And then on the other side, there are people that are like, you know, hey, it seems like they're trying to make it so that every class can solo to 60 in, you know, a month. And so it's just kind of like, yeah, guys, it's just, so move, kind of like take the extremes on both sides, throw them out for now and look at it and go, we want people to play with other people. We want items to matter. We want the best items. And people are like, why are there so many different items going in or whatever? It's well, because there's like common items that help you advance your power level so that you can continue to progress. Uncommon items that are a bit better. And then rare items that are essentially pushing you up into a higher tier within that level range. And naturally, there'll be outlier chase items and all that other stuff. So the idea is, as items begin to matter more, then when you're leveling, you need to acquire some amount of gear in order to continue to progress smoothly. And then the range of gear that's available allows you to maybe duo or trio, or there may be some spots where you can solo and get an item or two. And if you're duoing trio, you absolutely can progress in terms of experience. If you're soloing, you can move forward in terms of gaining experience, but you may have to be selective as to where you go, depending on your class, obviously. And your progress is not going to be at the same rate as somebody that's in a trio, let alone somebody that's in a full group. The people that are in full groups then are able to handle the more challenging content that's out there. But first of all, content's got to become a bit more challenging for there to be challenging content out there. And so these are the adjustments that we're trying to make to get us to a point where, hey, we can really look, especially with the classes coming online, look and then continue to tweak and balance. But there is some stuff that just felt really out of whack, and that's where we're making adjustments now. And again, some people are going to agree with those changes. Other people are just going to, one person can look at something and go, hey, that makes sense. Another person can look at it and go, well, it seems they're kind of oscillating here, or I don't get it. And a third person could just be like, on Reddit, there's a new person on the team and that's causing them to completely change the vision of the game, guys. It's the new person on the team, and so they have veered off into La La Land over the last like 3 months. And it's just I don't know what to say. Okay, yeah. So that's just I don't mean it in any like bad way. That is, guys. If there were 30 of us in a room, we would be seeing this. If there's 300 or 3,000 of us in a community, we're going to see varied takes and differences of opinions and interpretations and personalities. If there's 30,000, then that happens as well. So, and it's not a bad thing. It's cool. It's so normal, man. It's so normal. I apologize. I tell the same stories all the time. If you're newer to the stream, oh, Jay in the Park, thank you for the raid 3 minutes ago. Welcome, friends. I think I've told this story a lot before. Hey, and thank you for have a good stream thing. I know you got to bounce out. But when I raid, I raid and then I just bug out as fast as possible. So thanks for dropping people off. Thanks for being here. And Wolfen, thanks for the follow. Yeah, so the story that I've told a million times is just we were doing some panel at not a Comic-Con, at a fanfare for EverQuest. And we had made some change. And the thing is, it was probably, again, one of those changes where I don't even know the specifics. We probably, I don't know, nerf shaman or something. I forget what the topic du jour was. And the person that asked the question about, like, why did you do this solution was extremely passionate. And you know what, man? Like, God bless them for being there. They were at a fanfare in a convention hall, sitting there at a panel. Like, how cool is that? So that's something. And they were basically, they were like, well, like, why did you make this stupid change that was obviously stupid? And so then I just asked, all right, well, what change would you have made? And they presented their change. And it was just like, okay, cool. I'm not even judging it. See you, Justin Beard. I'm not even judging it. Cool. Does anybody else in the room think that there's a different change that we could have done instead of what we did and what this guy just mentioned? And another, like, half the hands in the room went up again and picked another one. It was a completely different take. And we just did that, like, 4 or 5 times, and it was like, there you go. Like, at some point we're going to pick one. I guess the question for people should be more about, like, is the change for most people considered to be in the ballpark? Or is it just like off the deep end? And if it is off the deep end, then we try to provide some justification for it that maybe it's not clicking yet. And then the other question is, how open are we to making a change, seeing that we were wrong, admitting that we're wrong, and making another change, right? Like, we don't want to be flip-floppy and, bouncing around everywhere like a Muppet. But on the other hand, we do want to take feedback and show, hey, yeah, all right. So... Did they remove gear loss on death and spells yet? By they, do you mean us? Or are you just asking chat? In general? Like, in life? Yeah, in life, when you die, you definitely are not. You're not taking it with you. Spells don't work anymore. Even if you're a pharaoh. Hey, Marcy. Hey, Skirmish. Hey, Cthulhian. Cthulhian said... We're talking about soloing. And Zuby. Class and cool, what's going on? Yeah, when I'm setting up areas, I think I've mentioned this in previous streams, Class and cool. When I'm setting up areas, there'll be a lot of... I try to ensure... This is kind of a weird area right now that I've been playing around with. But when we're setting up like a camp or something, try to be pretty conscious of the fact that, you know, there's a lot of movement at this camp, so maybe it's a bad example, but a lot of camps you'll see something that's like basically a camp and some roamers around it. The roamers around it are to supplement the camp and to have additional pools, but they're also there for if like, you know, a lot of the roamers and lookouts and off-beat patrols and stuff like that are there because there is an idea that, hey, if you're rolling up there and you're waiting on a group or whatever, you may want to grab you know, a mob and grind for a bit here and there, or that may be your solo spot, and yeah, so. Big patch this weekend. Yeah, I believe it's Sunday, unless something weird happens. I'm pretty sure, Goonie, that it's on Sunday. Makes you pay attention for pulls as well. Let me wait until this guy passes away. Yeah, and then it's meant to help you if you are paying attention to maybe if you're only a duo or trio or a less experienced group, or you don't have good CC or whatever it is, and it gives you an opportunity to potentially watch the timing and break the camp a little bit easier. So that's the thought. Let me scroll up. Hey, Dark Inside, what's going on? Good morning. Sorry, I've been away lately. My mother's having surgery today. Had a heart attack the other day. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. People don't realize, I'm pretty sure the stats are real that I'm about to say, but like statistically, I think like women have, I don't know if they have more heart attacks than men. Like everybody focuses on men having heart attacks for good reason, but forget the amount that like women have heart attacks. But then again, men also get breast cancer and nobody talks about that. So it's kind of weird. Just Call Me Stina said women have different symptoms, so they don't realize that that's what is happening. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. It's because if I think heart attack, if you were to say, oh, somebody had a heart attack, I'm immediately going to think of some poor stressed out dude. Not that I'd ever picture myself. But Dark Inside says she's going to be fine, though, and that's good to hear. Well, tell her we're all rooting for her. Women get like sore ache in the shoulder blade, etc. And so Stina said that. Pinamu said women get sore, out of breath. Dudes just flop over. My uncle died a few years back of a heart attack, but that's not what got him. He banged his head. So he was in the garage working, like I think it was his garage, because he used to be a mechanic for the city, in his garage, and he, like, his heart went, but he came down and caught, like, banged his head on the way down on the edge of the counter, and it's gnarly. It's like, oh, but yeah. You never know, man. Well, Dark Inside, legit. We wish her the best, and then by proxy, if she's doing well, then I hope you're doing well. So. Let's turn this into a PSA. All you fellas, ask your wives if they know symptoms of a heart attack. That isn't a bad idea. It's the same thing. When we first started the project, the lawyer that we were working with, we just knew him through, he did or does videos about like gaming law and stuff like that, and that's how we met him. He had a stroke, but fortunately he was able to recover and get back and stuff, but he didn't realize that he was having a stroke while it was happening, because it actually took a little bit. And I've been in town here in Germany, and they've had people out just kind of on the streets informing people like, do you know the signs of can you tell if you're having a stroke or if someone's having a stroke? And that type of information, having it available is good stuff. Class updates in 2 days. Yes. Spill them beans? Oh, there's no beans to spill. If you want to review, Ollie has been posting breakdowns constantly over the last few days, which has gotten people talking in Discord and on Reddit. We'll post them all on the website as a big update once they're all available. I just didn't want to do a bunch of updates on the website. Yeah, and so people are talking about that. I tell you what, if you want a good breakdown of them as they're getting posted, go check out Criddle and Squats. Have you been doing them as well? People have been doing breakdowns. Apologies if I didn't mention your breakdowns or whatever. I just happened to YouTube showed me Criddles this morning, and I checked it out. It was a great, really good, solid breakdown of it. So that was cool. Breakdown of the breakdown. Of the classes and deep dives, yes. For the stream breakdowns, check out Criddle, Squat said, and the updates that we've been posting each day. The last few days. Jekrika, thank you for the follow. What am I sipping on today? The usual, really watery instant coffee. This is half a liter of water. It's 2 scoops of medium strength coffee, 2 sugar cubes, and some frothy milk. And that's my go-to. Call me biased. I just want to see the Inquisitor changes. Inquisitor is going to be cool. We will make sure of it. I'm biased. Will Beastmaster pets continue to have all the same abilities and stats? Thundertrod? I don't know. I don't know if they'll have the same, but they will have abilities and stats, unless I'm mistaken. So. Hey, Criddle, I was just mentioning you. And guys, I'm not going for a very long stream today. Basically, I wanted to hop on. I've been meaning to stream all week, I'll be honest with you. And every time I was going to sit down and try to knock out maybe an early stream or something like that, something popped up at work, and it was more important to deal with that than to try to squeeze in a couple hours. I have not ordered a pizza yet, but we probably will do pizza tonight. That's fair. I didn't go to the grocery store today. I'm dragging, man. Yeah. So probably pizza tonight. My wife, basically when she left to go to the range, I was like, let me hop on and do a stream. That way she's getting out her practice for this week. I'm catching up with you guys for this week. She comes back, wrap up here. I was like, babe, we haven't sat down and watched TV together or anything in 2 weeks, right? And she was like, no, it's been more like 5. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe we'll eat a slice of pizza and I don't know, watch an episode of From or something. And catch up with the team. Got some stuff to catch up on. And stuff. Kuramori, hello everyone. Yeah, from has been decent, people. It's just it's a it's kind of it is what it is, but it's a likable is, and I like the main guy. I forget his name, but I like him. Malik said above us, scrolling up, make sure we didn't miss anything too crazy. While we're doing the PSA thing, calcium score test is quick and cheap and can give you an early warning. Nice. My wife probably knows that. My wife's she's a healthcare provider, so she's into healthcare. Hey Rondo, hope you're feeling better, buddy. Atomic Fate had a question, and I didn't want to. I don't want to miss that. So let me scroll down, and then I'll scroll back up. All right, let me go back up because it's a good question. Where are you? There he is. I guess I don't know. Hey Viro. Belvedere, I read what you had there. I just didn't read it out loud. CDAC 1991, thanks for the follow. Atomic Fate said, I put 2 parties together to crawl Telekir and got to a named camp. We get there after 45 minutes only to find a level 50 camping it. Deflated to say the least. Any ideas for solving this for people trying to gear as a lobby? There are a couple of things involved there. One, it's looking at itemization overall and ideally providing content that a level 50 would prefer to be farming. Like, at the end of the day, it comes down to time and people have X amount of time. So we want to incentivize them utilizing that time somewhere more appropriate. Yeah, there is some stuff. Sorry, I didn't want to like sound flippant, say call a camp check. If you're heading towards, if you want to head to a specific name or whatever, and you've run into this problem before, part of the social nature of the game is call a camp check. Ask is someone there specifically. If you do like a who in the zone and you see there's level 50s in there, you can be like, hey, are you guys sitting here like squatting on this camp? That is part of the social nature of the game. I know it gets called out as strictly a negative, but it's part of being in a static world. So then the other things that we're hoping to do is, again, incentivize better use of their time elsewhere. Look at the itemization that's there. Yes, not responding to the camp checks is also part of the game. It is true. And that is the joys of playing a social game. That is, people are silly. That is what makes it so dynamic and interesting. It is, you're playing very much a social game as you are a video game. And so the itemization for those higher level people, seeing, is there a gap? I think you just responded, Canaway said some items are hard to get and you kind of have to circle back at a higher level to get it. I've got had to solo out a lot of gear this way as a monk. Yep, and that happens as well. One of the things that can happen, it's not always negative, is you may get somewhere and there's a level 50 sitting there for something, and you may get out of group heals for them. They're like, hey, I just want to get this, but you can be here, right? There's a lot of stuff that can happen there. But we want to try to incentivize people to go to other places. We want to look and see if there's an issue with itemization that's there, because it could be something where it's just the best item until 55 is going to be this item that's sitting here at this level 30 camp or 25 camp. And that's why they're back there. And maybe it's just because the common and uncommon items are kind of appropriate, but they have a rare item on there that's just really, there's nothing that's filling that gap from 30 or 35 to 50. This is one of the things that led to us looking at all the itemization, and people are like, oh, the game's flooded with a lot more items and stuff. I don't know. Do I have an image of this baked out? Some of the tooling that Jahar made for us allowed us to visualize some of the, some of the gaps in itemization for different slots at different levels. And it would show us like a gray line with a number. So it'd be like an X or a box or whatever to identify the type of item. So it could be, if you're playing this type of class, this slot, here are the items that are available to you throughout the entire game. And where we started from was, it was very much like item, 12 levels later, another item, 30 levels later, another item. And there were these crazy gaps that were like, all right, so of course people are going to go sit and farm for some of these items that they really should just be well beyond, because there was nothing else, or it was just a completely overpowered item. So hold on, I'm checking to see. If I took a screenshot at some point of that view, but maybe I didn't put it in here. I have to grab one at some point. Telling us to talk to people, how dare you, sir? I know. Guys, I really want to play a classically inspired game, but I don't want to have to talk to people, and I don't want to have to wait, and I don't want to have conflict, and I don't want to deal with a GM, and I don't want to grind, and I don't want to camp. Classical. Chat bubbles confirmed. You guys with the chat bubbles. Mr. Nipples, thank you for the follow. And thank you for your name. It brings joy. Solving social anxiety one interaction at a time. It's a great learning tool. It's a great opportunity to, get in and engage with the world. Dealing with the GMs has been a pleasure. I'm going to assume, Capkin, that you actually mean that 100%, because I've heard some complaints where people weren't happy with decisions or whatever. Shout out to stuff I deal with every day. Just want to give a quick shout out to Harry Balls on ya. Speaking of, sorry your name got changed. Sorry you weren't happy with that. But that is what we do. The GMs have been, we talk a lot behind the scenes. We have a channel. It's not somebody. Speaking of this situation, there have been at least, I think, 3 different situations in the last 2 days where someone has referred to our department of something. And so in this case, I got an email asking, basically stating, and I didn't get an email, our help email got an email stating that I saw F in chat. Did I die? Is it gone? No. Okay. I thought I died. It's like, there's F's in chat. Is this the afterlife? Afterlife feels a lot like... Do I still get pizza tonight in a TV break? All right. Cool. I was checking for my spell book and my items. I was like, I still have my spell book and my items. Okay, it wasn't me. All right. let me catch up because there's staff in this game is top notch. Dealing with the GMs has been a pleasure. Trent's the man. Trent is an actual hero. My encounters with players in the world make the game special to me. I love to hear that. I get a lot of positive feedback from people, and I see a lot of comments and stuff that are actually people going, hey, I've interacting with people in the game and the community is actually really rad. And then I read Reddit and other places and it's like, worst community ever. And I just like, it's a weird juxtaposition, but I'm not denying the integrity of your experience. Everybody deserves the integrity of their own experience. It could be that some people have had a really bad time and some people have had a great time. And that is, as long as it balances out well enough, then we're good. What else? Q streaming, don't let me not get back to what you asked. So anyway, like just for clarification, somebody sent a complaint email, and I was checking it out, but it actually hit the same theme that happened at least 3 times in the last 2 days. People have mentioned us. Someone wanted to speak to someone outside of the customer service department and wanted to speak with management to like basically, hey, the people within the customer service department got it wrong. And someone else was saying that in terms of communication, in order to improve, to ensure that people don't get confused by the stuff that we post, we should get a director of communications. And there was another reference to like a department of some sort. Like, well, within, you guys need to address, I don't know if information makes it to you at your level because people don't want to state things that like disappoint their boss or like, and so there was a number of this thing, and it was just, guys, we are a volunteer indie team that is completely distributed, who exist in a series of many Slack channels. I would say 95% of which everybody is in the official channels. There's DM groups where like John and S and other people talk about what an asshole I am and stuff like that. I know. It's fine. But it is just a collection of people. Even though we are now, 40 plus people, there is no department. There is no manager. You're not speaking to anybody's manager. Like when people are saying like, when someone pops in the game and with the RP name of like the balls on your forehead or whatever, that typically that'll come up, especially if it's one that's like one where the GMs are kind of like, I don't know, is this bad or not? That winds up just going straight into our CS Slack channel, and we're kind of like, this is happening, that's happening. Can I get a second opinion on this? This is a complete mess. Guild A was there before Guild B trained them, but then Guild C snuck around and like stole their Butterfinger, and so that stuff comes up. There's no like guys off in their departments doing crazy stuff. Somebody said duct tape. We are officially a company, and we are legally a company, and we are making a commercial project, and we do aspire to make money and eventually maybe pay a person or two. But is a goblin rogue named Booty Shark off limits? Again, Booty Shark, I would probably allow it, but I don't know like if the guys that have to ultimately get to petitions if they're gonna. I think Booty Shark's probably fine. We'll absolutely get a petition from someone because we have we do have a purely puritanical. There are people in there that get offended by everything. Yeah, surname would be important. Like if you're Booty Shark, don't be Booty Shark Poop Eater. That's not good. I don't mean to be vulgar. This is for science. This is an example. This is a professional corporate example of what might be over the line. But if you're like Booty Shark Chum Swallower, we'll probably hit you up and be like, that's not, some people are going to read that weird or whatever. It's still, can you pick a different name? So the fact that I came up with it means that I've been working in online gaming for 25 years. I know people on the internet sometimes ask, does Sean know? Do you think he knew what he was getting himself into working on an MMO? I've with the exception of the one time they tried to get us to make that PS3 game, and I was only on that team for like a few weeks. I've only ever worked on online games. None of this is new. So yeah, anyways, we are a company, but we're very much an indie team. And sometimes what we're trying to say, like other indie teams try to be, and I mentioned this in Discord yesterday to, I think, like Pear or somebody. Other indie teams want to really present themselves very corporately, which is their prerogative. That's great. Like we have a CTO and a CFO and a director of this and a director of that and a this and a lead that and a blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, you're 20 people. I don't know why you got all these titles, but that's okay. People get excited, especially people that are new or have limited experience in the industry, or maybe are very experienced in the industry, but they're just kind of like stuffy about it. No offense to anybody that's like that. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm a good example. We're just kind of doing it the way we're doing it. But like some people want to be, some people want to be Drake. We want to be ODB, right? Like some people want to be, what's a corporate band, So some people want to be, I don't know, some people want to be new Ice Cube. We prefer to be old Ice Cube. Some people want to be, well, it's the only hip hop that, because I can't think of like, some people want to be Milli Vanilli. Some people want to be new Rage Against the Machine. And some people want to be old Rage Against the Machine. I don't know. New Metallica, old Metallica. I guess there's a lot of. You want to be Morrissey, not the Smiths? I don't know, man. Morrissey or the Smiths is fine. Shit. I really have really bad examples on this. Some people want to be like the next big record label. We want to be, we want to be Discord Records. So, because even if we're doing well, we don't want to have to change who we are. We've had some really great, fantastic people give us advice and be like, hey, you need to professionalize this, or you need to do that. And it's just like, I don't know, but would it still be fun? Would we still be us? Just call me Stina said, some people want to be Drake. We want to be ODB should be the slogan for all things Eminem forever. I mean, it's just, I'm trying to be honest with you. Let's go all the way back up though, because I don't want to leave an actual important question lie because I'm being silly. When will carpentry be more fleshed out? Trade skills in general, there's about to be an update in the same vein of what we've been saying that covers where we think we stand on trade skills. Trade skills just need a lot of work. That's just the honest summary of it. I'm scrolling all the way back up to Graying said, shout out to the GM to save me from being trapped under Night Harbor. In less than a minute, I put my petition in. Super support. Hey, cool to hear. Q Streaming, thank you. Q Streaming said, hey, hoping this hasn't been addressed, but how do you reconcile the game's slow-paced, group-focused progression with the goal of encouraging players to pursue activities beyond XP grouping when many of those activities, such as dungeons and meaningful loot acquisition, appear to be more full groups and large time commitments? How do I reconcile those things against each other with the encouraging of players to pursue activities beyond XP grinding? I think if I'm understanding it correctly, and I'm trying not to botch the answer, Q Streaming, the idea is that there are a variety of, there will be a mix of inputs into, or ways that you can do those various things. Again, if I'm understanding, so trade skilling in theory could be an activity that is fairly, speaking of, again, we know that it needs some work. Harvesting is the thing that you can do solo, and ideally, if we've got it balanced relatively well, then you feel like it's a worthwhile use of your time as somebody that's potentially solo. But harvesting could be something that there are things that you'll want to harvest that you really do need the support of at least 1 or 2 or 3 other people when you're out there collecting those things and bringing them back to the world. And there may be some things to harvest that really require you to have a full group and they're in a deeper place. Trade skilling inputs could be sort of base level. People that are doing a lot of harvesting are providing plenty of inputs there, but we really like to get trade skilling to a point where it feels like, and then there's stuff that's coming back, that's coming to trade skillers from raids or from group, and so the people that are in dungeons grinding with a steady group that can get into the deepest, most dangerous place in the dungeon. The idea hopefully is that dungeons will have, again, some variability, and there's a gradient of difficulty where there's some parts of the dungeon, especially if I'm more skilled at what I am, or depending on my class, I'm able to get in and find, like, there's actually a couple weird, like, solo spots, and people are able to potentially even get items from those because they're able to get into there and establish that camp as a solo person. But then there are other places within that dungeon that are, anything from 2 to 3 to 6 people are really required to, again, depending on the group comp and your skill level and your familiarity with the zone and your level relative to some of the content, again, not completely OP, but relative to some of it, allow you to get in and, like, establish a camp there. Whereas some of the best stuff, especially over time, hopefully if itemization matters and we're able to make NPCs a little bit more difficult in terms of not just sheer hit point volume and stuff like that, but like the abilities that they have or the way that the encounter feels, then it's something, those are camps or dungeons where you're really like, yeah, you've got to have a relatively well-geared, competent group to be able to sit and hold these camps, right? So we're looking for, rather than having just like a systemic, 1, 2, 3 over mobs' heads, or chevrons over mobs' heads, where it's like, this is a solo mob, this is, trio mob, and this is group mob, and this is elite group mob. A lot of it's going to feel kind of organic, and allow you to find some stuff where it's like, oh, okay, I was able to get through here and get to this thing that is this comfy little soloable Easter egg of a mob, right? That is well past these group mobs. So when we're building out camps, and we're building out dungeons, it's often with a certain amount of variety in mind. And in some areas we may have missed the mark on that stuff, and we may need to come back and establish like a bit more difficulty. As we're making these changes that people are discussing right now, the changes that are going to start going live in 0.25, I guess. It's not 2.6, right? 2.5, and then 2.6. 2.5, then we may find, right now it's one field to be able to pull as a part of a 3-man to, whatever, 6-man group. Right now, there are a lot of places where it's been totally easy to pull, like everything there and another camp and the things around it and call their mom in and everything else. And it's just like, you kill them. It's 20 second TTK. For those of you who have been asking, just time to kill, right? And it's, and so it's kind of ARPG. Everything's coming in. You don't really need to CC it, and things are dying. And I know that over time it's gradient. There's a gradient, and things do get more difficult and stuff like that. Again, we're going to be looking at that. Jahar and Zilith and Runaf and Ali and me. Like, we'll continue to look at that. We'll look at the feedback. We don't expect this update or the next update or the update after that even to like put things in a perfect spot and go, hey guys, there we go, done. We're done. It's balanced. We're trying to get all of the just various pieces in better alignment and some of the band-aids ripped off in certain areas so that we can then sit as the class updates are coming in line, which the reality is the class updates are going to come in, and we're looking at something like, I don't know, if we're looking at DPS, we're going to go, oh shit, we're about to push this live. They got a new kit. We're making adjustments, but their DPS, where is DPS ultimately going to land relative to these other ones that aren't in yet? And then where is everybody's DPS going to land relative to where it's been? And it's going to be one of those areas that as classes are coming online, people are going to freak out a bit, and they're going to be like, oh, this thing's not right, or hey, this low range isn't far enough. There's going to be a lot of that stuff. What we're showing is we're just trying to, it's been described as an overreaction. Honestly, guys, it's just a big list of how do we start to tweak these variables a bit, get them in alignment, and so that hopefully by September we're in here and we're kind of doing revisions and we're like, yeah, this worked, that didn't work, this is kind of needs more tweaking. It's just progress, guys. I was chatting with Criddle earlier about this. All I could say is it's awesome that people are so passionate that they're treating this like it's a live game. It's not a live game. It is the beta of a game that, here, look at this. It is the beta of this game. Right? It's the beta of the Fall Guy MMO. Dude, we're just doing what we can with what we got as consistently as we can. You know what I mean? Zukin Sculpts follow. What in the world? Zukin Sculpt's follow moment. October 19th, 2021. I'm putting that in my little clip area, my clipboard. Dargit said October 19, 2021 confirmed is the day Eminem started to decline. What are the chances you clicked on the exact... How weird is that? Pattis and Zukin. That's what happens to you when you go, hey, we need to get a 3D guy. Is there a 3D guy out there? And then we get infested with a Pattis and a Zukin. Hey, Palix. So yeah, Q Streaming said, So robust and varied ways to engage with content. Thanks for the answer. Go. Nice, concise. I like it. Will Eminem merch be delivered in time for EA launch? I want to play EA in my Eminem blanket. It won't be ready for launch because we won't go live. Oh, maybe we can go live like the week of or the week 2 weeks before or something. Hey, Keston. I like to read through the people that submit closed beta requests, the opt-ins. I'll read through opt-ins every once in a while, and I just like to, if I got 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I'll skip through and tab through all of the numbers, and I'll read through opt-ins. And a number of people who opted in have like, hey, I learned about the game through Keston, so thank you for that. Darga said, Zukin and I were chatting last night. I started to follow Eminem right before he and Pattis started streaming. Crazy to think of how far it's come. Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm not trying to cop out all the time and just be like, oops, we blew something up or whatever. Sorry, it's just but the reality is, this was the game. We thought we might even ship like a capsule game. So we've come a long way. And so we appreciate a ton, like the fact that you guys take us seriously and you take the game seriously and you're passionate about it and you're spending 500 or 1,000 hours in testing. But we can only do what we can do, dude. Turnip Gin's been following since it was in diaper. Yeah, Turnip Gin, I remember the initial days of you explaining that turnip gin is an actual thing. Botchley Dransko, thank you for the follows. Wolfen said, heck, I've been a part of EA indie games. It's been 10 years in EA before going live. What they started off as and ended up as the world of difference. Yeah, I mean, how long was Tarkov in? Was it even in EA or was it just in beta? Jergor said, I personally love all the changes that have been posted the last few days. It really seems like we're going to be fixing some of the biggest gripes with EQ. Want meaningful gear progression for casters and for sound, not just auto win in open areas. Higher TTK is great too. As a shaman, we'll actually be able to slow and maybe even use a dot in a group. Yeah, and again, we're gonna be playing with these knobs, right? Like we don't want it to feel like you're punching mud for 30 minutes every pull, but we do want to have it be something where, you know, dots and debuffs make sense. That there's a bit of risk. Right, like there's a bit of a pool management going with regards to hit points and mana. It's just heard Ko talk about Eminem on stream today. Draenor said, "Really? He's still talking about us." Yeah, it was fun. Like he popped into beta a while back and played for a little bit and had some good feedback, and it was nice. You know, I've been. Just full transparency, we over the years, and I mentioned this to him, I was like, over the years, we felt like there was kind of like a hot cold on that, but the fact that he has been supportive of us over this last like year and mentioned this, you know, on stream relative to some other things that are in beta right now and stuff, we felt, yeah, of course, man, we like that. We feel pride. Dargith got that quote from an old Ko clip, and he's been saying it ever since. So, Dargith, Ko likes us now. Be nice, don't ruin it. But I mean, at the end of the day, we will we had a lot of really cool interest from like classic WoW streamers and stuff a few months ago. And again, as the game changes and maybe as TTK isn't like 20 seconds and you're pulling 3 camps at a time, it could be that some of their interest changes or whatever. Or it could be that they play for a while and they really like us and they were telling their friends and other people come in. Could be that people just play for a bit and they're like, it's not for me or whatever. These things happen. Don't know what to say, like interest comes and goes. We're at an interesting spot right now. I swear, it's not meant to just sound like cope or whatever, but people are looking at the playtest. We're looking at it. It's like, that's a bit slower than previous playtests. It's kind of on, when you factor in like the closed testers as well, it's kind of right there on par. It seems like other playtests. But people will be like, oh, that's cope. And I don't know, man. It's either game's dead and all the changes have been horrible and everybody's fleeing, or I should be more professional on stream or whatever. I don't know. Could be that. So cope, that could be a thing. So that this doesn't sound entirely like cope, and it may be a thing. But you've also got like a lot of people are very amped right now. For like people are playing people are playing. Why am I spacing on literally every 3-letter? I was like, every example that I was about to say, I've just spaced on. Path of Exile. Sorry, I was like PoE. So PoE 2. Just new season went out. People are in the beta for the heroes. No, the EQ Legends, right? And that's a very visceral. That's an exciting thing to hop into and check the beta for, right? Like there's a lot of dopamine going on there. A TLP just went out, right? Yeah, that's why it was like a bunch of 3 letters, and my brain just went vapor lock, right? But like people are streaming EQ Legends. You can watch Quatos. I think he's been streaming. Like they're in there. They're having a good time. It's holy shit. Everybody, why wouldn't you love it? It's EverQuest. So we got PoE. We've got EQ Legends. We've got, was it Frostbreaker? Is it Frostbreaker? I'm spacing again. Anyways, we got an EQ TLP. Frost Reaver, yeah. Why is this guy making game? He doesn't even understand his competition. Frost Reaver. You know what we have in some places? There's sunshine. We had like a couple days of sunshine. Now it's pissing rain again. Yay, June. He doesn't even know the words. Ouchie, Gordog, the Grinning Fool, thank you for the follows. How's the garden doing? It's soggy. Wife is going to check on it on the way back from the range and just see how the tomatoes are doing. Everything else is getting plenty of water. So, any thoughts on opening the beta full time? Malik, it is... The concern with that is that, one, it puts a continued burden on our GMs to maintain it full time. 2, it really does start to just become... So we say everybody can just come in. What happens then if a lot of people show up? Or, right, because it's not just... It's like... the server costs, it's the because we are paying the server costs out of pocket, and it's not horrible, but it's a thing. It's just, I don't know, that one just feels weird. It's like, all right, let's just go live. So people get burned out. That's another thing. It is true that you can play the game. Listen, We've tried not to be greedy and take your money, but at some point we do want to take your money. So we don't want to give it to y'all like give you all of it for free up front. You know what I mean? Like we do want to wring at least $15 out of you at some point. Can you elaborate on the infrastructure stack? High level's okay. If Ollie's still in here, he can. I'm a big dumb. He's explained it 50 times and I can't. All I know is that we named it Silky Johnson. We do have a new command that I'm excited about in here. We've had go-tos and, you know, the mobs just kind of walk to, go to. Now we have a nice run to. Run to point is great, especially with specters. They're really cool when they come flying out at you out of the blue. So that's cool. That's something that we enjoy. Silky Johnson sounds like a name a player would be asked to change. Well, I was trying to think, it's not like a formal, could we say that it's a character so it would fall under the other people's character thing? But yeah, I mean, we are using it to informally call our tech stack. Yep, it is Chappelle's pimp name for Hater of the Year awards. Time haters. Wait, is this live? This stream is, it depends. Are you watching the VOD? If you're watching the VOD and you're asking that question in chat, I have a question for you about the future. A doggy was all right after stream, but the poor guy, he shook for probably another 25 minutes. I don't know if he was in the room upstairs when the door slammed. I don't know if he had ventured outside and the door slammed and then he got back in from the balcony or what, but like that was the most freaked out I had ever seen him. Yeah, poor guy. It gave me a good excuse to hug him though, which is nice. He's a very huggable dog. When he's not trying to bite people. The problem is people think he's cute and they want to look at him and he doesn't like to be looked at. So yeah, that's a bit of a conundrum. So you said your dog didn't bite? That is not my dog. That just made me think of the old... There was a Tales from the Dark Side episode where the kid had a shadow demon. That episode freaked me out. Arini TV sagt, hallo Sean, schön dich zu sehen. Hallo. Wie geht's heute? Hast du jetzt Feierabend oder? Yeah, so apologies for folks that this stream is a bit early for or whatever. I just, like I said, my wife ran out to do her stuff, and I thought, all right, if I can hop on and stream for an hour or two or whatever while she's gone, then we'll be able to get together and maybe watch a TV show together. It's been a while. Eat some pizza, watch an episode of television, and then I can do some work stuff and yeah, kind of that'll be that. What are we watching these days? I think we have a couple episodes of From to watch. Any idea when the Archer and Druid deep dives come out? If the patch is Sunday, I think they're trying to get them out in the next day or so. So, oh my gosh, the guys have been working really hard to try to get that. Because the thing is, like, we want to blast through these as quickly as possible and then get you the info, but we also don't anything that we kind of are off on the deep dive will then be a thing that we got to be like, yeah, well, actually that didn't work out, or maybe that was off a bit, or we have to change it later or whatever. And you know, it's going to happen and it's going to have to be okay, but it's going to be yeah, we try to minimize that as much as possible, I guess is what I'm saying. So the guys are like really trying to be diligent. Well, wizards need to buy all of their new spells. Probably. How's the re-listen of DCC going? Slow. You know what? Damn. The only time my wife and I really have together, not a complaint, it's just the team is, a lot of the team is in a situation, so not a complaint. Is basically like during dinner and when we first wake up. Sometimes we'll before bed if she's still awake when I get up there. And so during dinners we've been listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl, like re-listening to it, and it's taking us a long time to get through it. So we're not caught up, that's for sure. But that just means we've got longer until we get to, was it book 8? The new book. Yeah, it's been picked up. It's supposed to be live action. I don't know how they're going to do live action. I'm very curious to see how they think they can pull that off. I was just hoping for animated with Jeff Hayes doing the voices. That's all I wanted. All I wanted was a Pepsi, and you wouldn't give it to me. Just a Pepsi. And you wouldn't give it to me. Broken Stoke, what's going on? How are you doing? I'm not doing enough rock fondling on this stream. No, I'm just... So this is another one where I'm a little torn. I could be plopping in spawners. But there's some stuff going on in this area that I'm kind of like... I want you to just sort of discover on your own. Canaway gets it. No, Mom, I'm not on drugs. I just want to chill. All I wanted was a Pepsi. So this is a collection of mazes, actually. I don't know. There's some new VFX, but we're still playing catch up. So keep that in mind as we're... Oops. Oops. Why am I? Stop touching things. That's part of it. Okay. As you once the patch goes out and you've got the new classes, keep in mind it's the foundation that's going in. So there'll be VFX polish. There'll be, with some stuff. When we're looking at like the spell blade, we may look at the distances and just conveyance of some of the movement and wizard. There again, VFX and other things. So there's going to be stuff that's going to be coming online. We're just trying to get it in so that we can get all of this stuff in a foundational way, and then we can continue to iterate and improve and all that stuff. So, it sounds like my wife got home. Oh yeah, because I actually started a stream later than I was hoping to. I was saying earlier, I was seeing some content pop up from different folks, Broken Stoic and others. The folks that have been playing EQL, like, I'm very curious to see how that one winds up progressing over time. I think that's a very interesting experiment for them to be doing. So I think that's good. Are there any beta keys going out tonight? We discussed whether they should go out tonight or Sunday. I need to check with CS. I need to drive down to the CS department. Ekri, thank you for the follow. CS has moved from building 3 to lot 7. Has moved to building 3 on lot 7. Yes. I will have to. I'm going to phone the director. I'm going to phone the vice president of customer affairs and support. Do you guys want players to actively report boxers? And if so, what's the correct way to report them? On closed beta, yes. On open beta, doesn't matter. At least the last I checked. Yeah, so those of you that are new to the stream, I'm just kind of poking around in the editor at the moment while I'm reading chat. Just heading off the occasional comments that we get. Haven't had a lot of those lately, but I guess maybe that's a bad sign. Not so many people that are new to the stream. I just kind of, this isn't my serious business working time. I can't really focus when you guys are asking me very important questions. Most of what I'm doing is actually hidden behind chat anyway. Yeah, so if it looks very slow what I'm doing, I'm doing it in a very slow manner. The people that are regulars on the stream have watched me fondle rocks slowly caress rocks in trees and stuff. I've caressed boulders for quite a while, and it's like, it's just, I don't know where I'm going with this shit. It's Friday night. 3 hours, 3 rock plays. Yeah. And then basically I like to, when I'm not on stream, just listen to some music and knock out a bunch of work, and then we'll come back and we'll check it out, right? Like if you were on the stream where we're here, it's just you kind of come over and it's like I think I was sitting there like playing with one of these pillars for 3 hours or something like that. And then the next day I came in and just kind of like blasted out the rest of this, got the population in, and so that's just kind of how it works. This dude looks awesome. Wait till you see it in action because it's got motion. It's got motion and not just Riz. In the light. Yeah, actually you can see it in here. The light just kind of like, oh no, you can't see it that well unless it's live. But the light moves around and the eyes zooming around and stuff like that. So we were over here in this other area. I just got the lights turned on. Who does Aurora lighting? I do. I do a lot of the roar. But the rest of the team, everybody contributes a bit, and just, you know, I do a lot of it. But by no means all of it. Back in the day, Hamad was doing a lot of writing with me, and then he just got caught up in real life. And before that, Bunny had like some really fun ideas that are basis of some of our deep lore. And then these days, Lasava has been doing a lot of the quest writing. If you've done any of the Elven stuff, that was Lasava. Nicodemus / Bill does some lore, and then also a lot of quest stuff as well. Stab does some stuff. Our dear editor Loki does writing as well. Kumadar's put some stuff in game. Goblin and some of the guys, like I was saying earlier in the stream, for those of you that weren't here for that, there'll be times where like Goblin's painting something and just be like, hey, I painted this wacky, or in some cases gnarly thing. Or like, well, who is this and what is he doing and where did he come from? And then that gets factored in. The Zukin's he's working on lore for Lizardmen's. So Javastine asked, with these braces coming sooner rather than later, have you figured out how you're going to combat sunlight for those with ultravision? It is something that is on my mind a lot. And the funny thing is, while I'm working in the garden lately, I've been breaking my silence with going back through and listening to Salvatore's Dark Elf series. And so ultravision and, you know, like essentially how it manifests and all that stuff's been on my mind again, and we've got to work it out. Let's see, spots in the world that scream name but don't have one yet. Should we be adding that as feedback? It doesn't hurt. There are some gaps where they're going to stay gaps until we get more of the world in place. Because as the world starts to come online, there will be new NPCs, and, you know, we still got to get trolls and high elves and deep dwarves in. So there'll be NPCs that may show up later on, and things like that, right? And our goal is not to constantly push you further away from these zones. Our goal is to fill in these zones more and more and add new zones in the region and new dungeons and mini dungeons and islands around the shore and stuff like that, as we're getting both closer to 1.0 but then also post 1.0. How are factions, e.g. can Deep Elves go into Night Harbor? Maybe at the moment, but the factions your your faction is going to have a stronger bearing in your ability to traverse the world by EA. And then over time, as we get more of the basics in, this is a conversation I was having with another developer yesterday, and a conversation I've been having with Akiris and some other folks on our team is, as more of the base population and rares and stuff get in, as we have time, we're going to be putting in more dynamic stuff. So you may see new NPCs walking the streets of Night Harbor that are only there briefly. You may see new encounters appear in some places where you don't see them all the time, or you've never seen them before. You may run into, again, more NPCs or little events that are firing off in different zones that you don't see all the time. So the idea is to come back in and layer that stuff in over time, not just go, oh, done, the zone's done, move on, right? So that is absolutely a plan for both through EA for every zone in the game. So module 3, we're still going back in and adding more stuff into release. 1.0, we're still going back in. So how do you think the population will spread when the world's fleshed out? It will be interesting to see traveling worldwide. I hope druids and wizards stay taxis. Druids and wizards are going to be very critical by 1.0. Shipped, you guys, it's taking 30 minutes to go from Night Harbor to Penshaw. There's zones north of Penshaw, or there will be. Now imagine Night Harbor all the way around to Eastham. It takes a while. So dial-a-port and stuff like that, it's going to be important. Will devs stop players' ability to jump up cliffs, skip massive content, go straight to name mobs? Feel like the missions all the work. Yeah, as we find that, we try to fix it. We fixed. We should have. It looks like it. We fixed the just jump to Nyx thing that people were doing for this coming update. So that'll be a thing. With a coming change to low cast range, are giants and other very large aggro mobs going to be adjusted? That is something we've got to look at. We've had problems with other spells as well. That is just it's a scaling bug. Let me mention, that's one of those things that comes up and I think it just gets missed again. Before I forget, since I'm talking to Ollie, sorry. So there's that. It was Valen. Okay. Insight on the South philosophy, is it a godly buff, but everyone loves it? Is a godly buff, but everyone loves it. Either it be in combat or casual, running to explore. That's so move rate enhancements are something that, not to sound too wishy-washy, but we're going to be looking at the buffs themselves, as well as, so we're in a situation where, again, over the years we've put stuff in and it's kind of just been in, and there's some stuff that we've worked with. So like move rates are something that we factor into and have been factoring into zone size. And we've got some big ass zones, right? And so there's been an understanding of, all right, people move this way at minimum speed and this way at max move rate. And so then we run through, we do a lot of like running with stopwatches and kind of get a feel for scale and do relative scale zone by zone and all that stuff. So there's essentially the challenge that we have now of the world being a certain size based off of the fact that we've had this speed available to us. That said, we also want to look at and have been looking at the impact it has on like vulnerability in combat or the lack thereof, and the ability to sort of like escape danger. So we're looking at multiple mitigation strategies to see if, hey, there are ways to make it so that either it's not just a 100% clean escape, you do take some damage over time. We've got then the ability, like everybody honed in on like the ability for it to be stripped. No, not every mob's going to sit there and blast you and remove Sal instantly, right? Like that's not the plan. But it is something where when we're looking at the overall available abilities that we have in a group of mobs, and mob group composition changes depending on what's in that group. That may be a vulnerability that's there, right? Depending on the type of mob, you may go, okay, I'm just trying to run through the zone. I'm trying to avoid stuff. We want you to be a little more conscious of avoiding the mobs, not just like running past them, getting aggro and not caring, right? So we may see that the move rates come down a bit at the low end. We may see that the NPC move rates come up a bit. We may see that the abilities that we're putting in to have you take damage if you're kiting, or be hit with different spell effects when you're kiting or fleeing or whatever. We may see that they work, they don't work. And we're basically just declaring that, hey, we're putting this stuff in so that we can continue to look at the available tools in the toolbox to see if we can make something feel more in line with the world feeling dangerous while still allowing you to travel at a decent rate, while, you know, considering how overpowered kiting may or may not be in different situations. And right, like, so we're basically going through. People are like, well, just remove the buff. It's like, okay, cool. That's not helping us, and it's not going to happen. So that's why we're playing with multiple variables. Areas around the high level undead mobs around the tower. Yeah, that area does need some love. But the intent with a lot of this stuff is to, one, make it so that progression feels like progression. So so that there are very few things where you get it at level 1 or you get it at level 4 or whatever, and that's kind of it. It's super powered from that point. So we want there to feel like there's a progression. We want there to feel like there's appropriate risk relative to mobs that are much higher level, or, you know what I mean, right? So instead of it just being a binary get out of jail free card, or hey, I don't need a higher level rogue to assist me because I can just log in my, you know, my level 1 or level 4 rogue or whatever, right? So yeah, I'm sure that doesn't cover all the questions or isn't going to be articulated in a way that is... Chinny said, and that's the other thing, guys, we appreciate the engagement, the excitement, and the passion in advance. Like Chinny said, I think it's not as severe as people are interpreting it. I was checking it out earlier, and you can get pretty close to yellow con mobs, even when they're looking at you. It seemed like 5-ish yards out. I'd wait to check it out first. And if we find that we broke something, we tweak it. You know, it is not a big deal. I'm not exasperated or whatever. We do this a lot, guys. Guys, we do this a lot. Freak out is our love language, isn't it? Le Lurker Solar Out? Did I pronounce that right? Is it an L or an I? Are you French? Is it Le Lurker? Or is it... Nice. So is it Solar Route or... I don't know French. Is there a different pronunciation for route? Is it row? Le Lurker Solar Route. I'll ask my wife. She knows a little French. Oh, Amanda Deep in the background right now is freaking cool. As the band said. Pretty sure there are some Deep Elf assassins hiding in there. Be sure to add some Deep Elf assassins. Completely original idea. Of course, we're always going to be Deep Elf assassins somewhere around here. How many languages does my wife speak? You get by. So French, Spanish, Russian, Swedish. Not Swiss, Swedish. Though, I mean, you got all the components for Swiss, I think. English, German, and like, I guess 4 words of Arabic now because she keeps listening into my Duolingo. Kabir. Mujajim. Kabir. Garage Kabir. Hey, Linda. Yeah. Joanne. You speak 0.5. I feel you on that one. Do you have a rough timeline on when deep gnomes and other deep races will be playable on beta? Jinja, as soon as possible. I had asked before if people were okay, like just being able to play them, even if they're not, if they don't have their starter content and stuff like that. And people are like, I just want to start playing one. So we're going to try to get them in as soon as possible. And then we're also going to be pressing hard on like starting to get some, starting to get the starter content in. Oh, when you're talking about who does lore, Tellin was also supposed to be a part of that list. Tellin did a fantastic job with the Pinshaw area and Keeper's Bite and stuff, and has made up some really cool stuff. So, no Vulcan or Dothraki. No, she does not speak either of those. Search it. I don't know if I can confirm it. You can ask. Any plans to fix logging in and you're at the zone line? instead of where you camped out in the city. I believe Squawktopus has been looking at some of those issues. Skirmish said, I'm worried about needing multiple gear sets with the new stat scaling. It's on our radar. We'll, as more information comes out and as we look at it, it is not something that is being like, it's not something where we're oblivious to it, I guess. Zerk said, hey Sean, how are you balancing the previous statements of wanting this to be a sandwich game versus the seemingly recent focus on more active abilities, longer, harder mobs, and what appears to be APM increases in the 2 deep dives we've seen already? So this, we'll see. Come back to this, clip it or whatever. We can come back in a few months. The deep dives that you've seen so far, one of them is more APM, but it's a class that is always meant to be a little more active, right? That it's part of the class fantasy. This idea that you're a spell blade, right? Like, so that one, it seems like it's made sense. Is it like super high APM? I don't know. You guys will play it and you let us know. But it seems like it's more APM. Then there is the wizard, where you've got the ability to essentially push more buttons to have access to many more spells than what you would have on your spell bar. Or you could just put the spells on your spell bar and push the one button. The pushback on that is like, hey, but it is a class where, we've been happy just pushing the button one time and sitting back down. Yeah, there's probably going to be maybe a little bit more APM than that. But again, is that something that I can do while eating a sandwich is the test, right? Can I eat a sandwich and push a few buttons and continue, right? So the idea has been that the idea has been forever, and we're actually working towards that right now, which is we've stated that the game is something where it's not mechanically challenging. It's not like a lot of running around as the bulk of the game. There'll probably be encounters that are more mechanically challenging than others, or certain high-end stuff, or certain things out there. And certain classes will be more mechanically challenging than other classes. But for the most part, it is approachable. It's not a high APM game. But well, I lost track. Hold on, but I got this one. It's not a high APM game, but there are some actions per minute going on, and that's always been the case. And so we've always stated, and I think Synthetic may have said that something as well, is it's always meant to be a game where, and we've described this on plenty of streams, you can go back and find it. For the most part, it's a rhythmic, just kind of chill. You're pulling, things are fine. I'm smoking a cigarette, or I've got my pipe, or I'm drinking a beverage, and I'm just clicking the buttons, and I'm button clicking, and things are fine. And then there's a mispull, or we weren't paying attention to somebody was out of mana, or a patrol comes through, and all of a sudden I've got to put whatever's in my hand down, sometimes suddenly, sometimes spilling it, and then I've got to pay attention. And it's like, oh shit moments. Oh shit moments have always been there. Is it a steady requirement that you're just constantly pushing buttons nonstop? Again, ideally, no. That's not what we're shooting for. There may be some classes that feel that way a little bit more, and then, other classes that are more just kind of chill. With regards to longer fights, longer, harder mobs, is that less frenetic than pulling 2 camps at a time and killing upwards of 12 mobs every 20 seconds? To me, that feels more ARPG and out of alignment with what we've been saying for years than what people are worried about. People have worried like, oh, TTK is going up, so they're getting away from slower tactical combat. I don't know. Will the XP per mob change accordingly? Yeah, as we look at it, if we look and go, hey, we feel like this is blowing out the experience curve, then we make adjustments. If we find that it's not, then we make adjustments. Right? So it's like, yeah, so the idea is right now, mobs aren't as deadly. Mobs aren't as deadly as we'd like them to be. I'm not saying every mob needs to be a certain way. I'm like, generally speaking, the game doesn't feel like there's as much risk as we would like it to be. That's not saying it's got to be an ultra sweaty, everybody's got to be hardcore. It's just when you're able to pull a lot without CC necessarily, and this gets into some of the lull changes and stuff like that, without even considering your pulls, without splitting, breaking a camp, then we want to make adjustments. And I'm not trying to hit it with a blanket statement. I know that they're, depending on the level range, depending on the camp that you're at, depending on the camp composition, that some things feel like different than others. So the only request is reduce the amount of thorns that are on most mobs. That's something we can look at, is again looking at the class comp and looking at their spell loadout. Is it just tedious? Are we using, hey, we've got this was one of those classic problems, I think, all the way back in like Noga Droga, right? Where it was essentially we had a dungeon back in EverQuest that we wound up redoing a bit. Every mob was either a shaman or a shadow knight, and it was just like you're eating harm touches, and everything's like sound, and so we need to continue to make those adjustments. The things that we're doing now is just like getting all of the knobs in place, in adjusting some of those knobs to try to make things feel a little bit more like we want. It's if dude, we make these adjustments and you guys are playing this update, next update, a few updates from now, and it's just like it's not clicking, we take that feedback in and we make adjustments. So we try not to be ziggy zaggy everywhere, like kind of like a limp noodle flailing around, but we do make adjustments. We'll see. You guys will be, those of you that are in closed testing, you'll get it Sunday, I think. So we'll see. You're welcome for the detailed response. Hopefully it made sense. I know I can sound silly and flippant at times, but have you considered that devs don't play the game? Well, in all fairness, and this is just going to be the reality of game development, you're going to play the game more than we do. I would love to spend 500 hours in the last 3 months just playing the game. And so the thing is that when that feedback comes in, it's also, you guys, you gotta understand, like, yeah, we have to spot check. We're taking feedback. We're then analyzing that feedback. We're running sims. We're doing the math. We're then going in, we're spot checking, and then we're ultimately reliant on you guys to give us more feedback. So what are your feelings about mobs having charm? I think it's an interesting ability that they should have access to. I mean, A random tangent. How do I feel about mobs having charm? I designed the curse cycle in Shreza Basement, and so I was the one that requested the first AoE mass charm, which broke the game because we had never charmed everybody before. And then they fixed it, and because I just love this idea of you're in there with your guild and everybody's OP, and everybody that fails like the magic resist check or whatever just starts. It was just, the idea was like mass slaughter. So I forget how it actually played out, but that was my fantasy at the time. Do you believe the game is worth playing without a fish scaler? It's kind of borderline, but we got to hold some features back for the cash shop. Imagine a mob that charms a player and keeps them for hours, just to grief the other mobs. No, you can't kill him. I've got him charmed, but he's named, so they didn't account for it in the code. So until they fix it, I'm not. I'm kidding about cash shop. Anybody that's been in here for more than 15 minutes. Or am I? Expanded hot bars. I'm gonna stop joking about it. It's Friday. It's Friday. Xandri. Yeah, no cash shop. We're gonna have a merch shop where you can buy merch. Justin Beard, I just saw your LOL. Esan, I saw you in here earlier. I meant to say hi to you like an hour ago. What's going on, brother? Just got back from eating a slice of pizza. I might eat pizza as well tonight. Justin Beard. Tsunami-san said, cash shop so when we can buy Eminem crypto. Speaking of cash shop, when will we be able to 40 slot 100% weight reduction bag? You know how much money I've spent on those damn bags? What do they cost? I swear I've probably, during the TLPs, I think I've probably easily spent, I don't know, a couple hundred. Mm-hmm. What is the highest percentage experience experience potion in the TLPs? Will there be a way to change your name, swap character names? My concern, for lack of a better word, is using it to go to main name and then new races be added. Or at least, no plans for name swaps. We want people to be bound pretty closely to their identity. Ollie said, I forgot you were streaming. It's no worries. I forgot I was streaming too. Yeah, I was asking about the issue with I sent you a message about I've seen reports, and I thought we had an issue or two in about issues that casters have had in the past when mobs are scaled up. Excuse me. And I forget, I thought John NS looked into it as well. When mobs are scaled up, like I wouldn't think that the way the data works that it would modify the aggro radius. Though it would maybe modify the perception of the aggro radius, because if they're bigger, then they're filling more of their aggro radius. So Ali said, I think it modifies the point in the aggro radius that is considered the start of the aggro radius. There is there is an issue there. And I think we have the same for casting radius. They may not line up the same. Because that's a bug that it's come up a few times with people that were a number of different casters. People, I think, charming stuff, and so it's come up both in Discord and I think in Reddit and here relative to the lull distance changes, and so that's something we should look at. Will there be treasure maps or treasure hunting and lock picking? Yes, I think we can say, yeah, some variation on that. And will gathering nodes all be in the same place, or will they eventually spawn at random locations? That's a good question. For now, they'll be they'll be predictable, but you never know over time. Ali said, I have to create some debug tooling to figure out what's going on and make sure they line up. The lull distance change is a good reason to get it tight. There you go. So Ali is on the case. Nade 11. Thank you for the follow. There's, oh, hey, Penny Loafer. Sneaking on my lunch break. I'll watch the recording later because I'm sure you've talked about the changes. Not a ton. There's a lot of good coverage of them separately, but I've tried to answer some questions. I'm not in love with making Sal default speed. Why not just make Sal a 10-minute buff? Since it's just a travel buff, keep the mobs at normal speed. Yeah, I was saying earlier that we're not in love with making Sal default speed. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, just everybody always has it all the time. We're going to be playing with it. Like I said earlier, and I don't know, I don't have any angry DMs from Jahar, Zilith, or Ollie, or anybody. We're going to be looking at the low end of that speed, the progression of the low end of move rate buffs, the progression of move rate buffs, the high end, the max speed. We'll be looking at player default speed, because we can adjust player default speed as well a little bit, so that when you don't have move rate enhancements, you maybe don't feel quite as slow as you do now. And then we'll look at durations. The one thing that we do like is you want it to last long enough that you're able to get places, and you want it to last long enough that it's worthwhile, but we do want it to be something where it does create some social friction, where you are, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing to go back to town or seek out somebody that can give you a move rate buff, etc. So, does that make sense? Probably. It's probably a little all over the place. Group Sal, AOE Sal. I'll be real honest with you. I'm not a fan of the name. Never have been, but DJ Sniper. Thank you for the follow. catching up on stuff. Kuzukazi said that would be great. Slightly increased base move speed for players, reduce SAO speed so it doesn't feel like a must-have for SAO. Yeah, I mean there are going to be a number of like variables that we're tweaking to try to get this to feel right. Simply tweak SAO so that if you take damage, you lose speed for a few seconds. It becomes a travel buff, but less reliable for escape. There are different ways to do that. It doesn't have to be on the spell itself, and you'll see some of that with the abilities that are going in on NPCs. But if we feel like we need to have that be a part of the ability, then again, we always have that knob as well. Mr. Mortar says... I'm sure you've answered this before, and apologies for asking if you repeat yourself. Is the goal to stop solo farming like quad kiting being viable at higher levels? Are we trying to make players play like we used to when we all started 20 plus years ago, or do you want to allow for more tedious input-intensive gameplay to be discovered and enjoyed? The idea is that there will always be a range of solutions that people, depending on how much they want to put into it, both mechanically and just sort of their game knowledge, will be able to pull off. And ideally, if we're hitting a nice sweet spot, there'll be opportunities for people to be able to approach different content, whether that be solo, duo, trios, or full groups in different ways, and with different group comps. Some classes are going to be more limited than others in their options in this regard, but hopefully we're making that up to them in other ways with regards to the benefits they bring to the table, to groups, through utility, or in some other manner. The goal is not to just like blanket nuke something like quad kiting and make it non-viable at higher levels. The idea is to make stuff less binary in terms of this approach always works, or works almost all of the time, and is providing little challenge, or is broadly applicable to too wide a range of content, and is essentially making it so that there's just like this clear path of least resistance that's not really in keeping with what we intended, right? And so it's probably, that might be a shit answer. I don't know what to say on that, but the idea is like, can you quad kite when we're done making changes? Yeah, sure. Can you always quad kite? Not always. Can you, can you always quad kite everything, right? And people will say, oh, yeah, but you can't do that now. Again, it's a difference of degrees. So Lord Cringe says, increasing TTK starting at 20, I'm afraid, is just going to make Charm 1,000 times better. And then Charm is a separate problem that will be addressed within the context of the changes that are being made. Right, there's a lot of stuff that constantly is going to have to be juggled, with some of it being well known, and we know, hey, once we get to this point, we're going to make adjustments based on the fact that we're making these other adjustments now, but we're just not at that point yet. And then some of it's going to be emergent, where we're like, ah, shit, that didn't work the way we thought it was going to, and so we're going to tweak again. There will always be people who saw that in advance and told us, and we didn't listen. It's just, that happens. But we're just going to keep wiggling the whammy bar until we get it mostly good, until it's okay enough by EA. Those of you that have been coming in a little bit later on the stream, like I was saying earlier, we love and appreciate the fact that you guys are treating this like the game is out. It's like, the game's live, why is this so not done yet, or imperfect, or whatever? And not to go through it, you can watch the VOD if you're really that interested. But in terms of the example, it's like, just a reminder, it's just kind of like we started with very humble beginnings. You guys have kind of blessed us in a way of like looking, I don't know, like bigger than we are or something. We're still a ragtag bunch of like indie volunteers working on a game that is it's going to be imperfect. So, and we'll keep working on it. So Mr. Mortar said, "Thank you. So the goal is to make more make it more that quad kiting works on 20% of the content, not 80% of the content. So if you're diligent and looking for mobs that don't dispel Sal, not a lot of stuff is just going to outright dispel Sal. It was one thing that might happen. There may be mobs that are plinking you with arrows or throwing rocks at you or snaring you or stunning you. And there may be some that dispel you. So, but yeah. And then you said, then there is still ways to grind using a more solo loop. Yeah, there will be ways to grind using a solo loop. The one thing we want to avoid is that the game can be easily soloed faster than you can experience in a trio or a group while still getting you all of the items that you need to be able to progress. Hot take removes. That's not even a hot take anymore. That's like a matter of fact, that's still not a hot take. Wait, are you being silly? Is that the joke that it's not a hot take? I don't know, man. I can't. I'm such like a quasi boomer at this point. I'm Gen X, but you guys have turned me into a boomer. I don't know. I can't keep up. Okay, yeah, figures. Nah, you didn't get the joke. Creecrawl said, Robot, talk to me about justification for gear sharing from max level. I hear you guys talk about friction, but having gear, higher levels provide gear for the entire server reduces friction substantially, and I feel like it has to impact balance as well. Balancing for twin gear leads to a slog for non-twin. Yeah, so we're not balancing for twin gear. We're making adjustments to the impact of twin gear, I think even in this update. And then we'll be discussing gear and how much gear is supposed to be floating around and where it's supposed to go and what gear should be bind on equip and what gear should be no drop and what gear should, potentially have level recommended levels or level requirements. These are all tools. It's not like we have to go in the database and just go, everything works this way now. If I remember correctly, even in my old guild, we had a few, like all the way back when it was Blades of Carnage and Scepters of Destruction were kind of heirloom twink items. I'm sure there's more that I can't think of at the moment. But there were those items that for people that were just kind of being carried by the guild, not mentioning any names, but for people that were being carried by the guild, there were like these items that's like, hey, here's this and here's that other thing. And we would have like a whole, wall locker full of shit that we would pass out to like, all right, here's your catch-up gear, because they weren't on the raids and they weren't looting no drop stuff. And you know what I mean? The fungi, yeah. Right, so I think approaching this with a less like all or nothing approach. There was some disagreement just within the ranks previously on like whether or not we should be using some of this and how much of it and all that other stuff. So we're gonna look at the problem and see if we can provide a better solution. Tsunami-san, I don't think we have addressed it, but at the moment that almost sounds like an okay problem for now. Anyone that learned how to type on a typewriter is a boomer now? Okay, well then I'm definitely guilty. What's up, Wickersloth? Yeah, so we'll look at it. We'll look at it. Cree crawl, was that an okay enough answer? Malik says, we appreciate transparency from you and your team. It is refreshing to hear your vision of the game directly rather than just getting repatch notes like other games. I mean, there's pros and cons, right? Like I said earlier, you know, there are those moments where people are like, you guys really need a director of communications. It's like, we just kind of say what we are going to say. Creecross said, ish. I feel like because the test is so small, you have a data set that's emphasizing old school and not accounting for modern gaming approaches. The gear will flood eventually. Makes sense. Yeah, I can see where you have that concern. I think the amount that like sweaty, just old school influences, I don't know what to say. You know, if I'm reading Discord or Reddit or anywhere, there's a certain amount of, I don't know, there's like where there's a star chamber, a hidden cabal of like ultra hardcore 99ers that are just like, and we got to do this to chase everybody off. It's just, I mean, the discussions that we have on the team, even, there's a pretty big mix of opinions. I think if Jahar and Zillith weren't so slammed and were able to like sit and chat like this, you would find that we've had the opposite arguments, not arguments, but like discussions on stuff in the past of, right? And so some people think that we're straying. If I ask one group of people, we've strayed completely from the original vision. Everything that I said in this video is now a lie, you know, and we're no longer doing any of, like, you know, none of the vision remains. I read somewhere that there's a new person on the team that's completely assumed control over the vision, and that's why the game is wildly different. And then I've also read that we've quadrupled down on the vision, and we're just trying to chase away anybody that's not wasn't 30 years old playing EverQuest in 2000 and was in Jahar's guild. I don't know. So it's just kind of like, I don't know what to tell you guys. We're trying to keep it pretty consistent here, and there's some stuff where we're like, yeah, it's gonna feel like it's evolved a bit or it's moved away, and yeah, I honestly, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say other than, but we're trying to stay consistent. Look at that 2021 babyface. Oh, innocent summer child. It's the same exact. You guys cost me my beautiful head of hair too. I used to have a pompadour under that hat. I used to have a 6-inch afro under that hat. But it's the same brand. It's just this is slightly newer. That hat is actually so filled with, I can boil the hat and the grease won't come out of it. It's like, so it's waterproof, but that's my garden hat now. It's both clean and disgusting at the same time. I think it's because I went old school soul with some modern QOL. Modern MMOs don't have soul. Definitely hard to balance where the line is. So I'm not envious. I mean, for us, some of the stuff that we've just been not budging on. I mean, there's some things that we're like, yeah, we've already discussed it internally. Like one of these days, maybe we'll do this, and they'll be like, what? But some of the other stuff, it's just the difference of opinion on what quality of life means, right? Some of these, I just think. So somebody just said it. Who was it? Where's our 24-year-old? Is it Magenti 541? If I pronounced that correctly, said, I'm 24 and this will be my first MMO I really put time into. I read a fair number of comments. We get messages from people that are, hey, I've never played a game like this. I've never played this. A lot of the notes that we see in our requests, like our opt-in rationales, people are saying, I've only ever played Classic WoW. I've, and so people are coming in and they're, I just posted, here, I'll read it. Actually, somebody posted a comment and I know it's self-serving. I know there's selection bias here or whatever. Like, I get it. Echo chamber, yada, yada. But essentially, I'm going to read this one. It's not going to dox anybody, I don't think. This person said, I jumped into the open beta test without prior experience on EverQuest or any genuinely old school designed MMORPG, expecting to leave quickly from the lack of WoW/Final Fantasy XIV like quality of life features. But the game quickly sucked me in and I ended up playing a lot. Finding that the lack of clear direction, yellow lights and markings outside of the interaction with the guards and NPCs invited me to seek my own answers. Or ask the helpful player base for answers when they eluded me. You've got something special here, and I'd like to be able to further explore the lower level zones, etc. Right? Guys, I know it sounds like bullshit, and everybody, it's just easy to default to, oh, they're just ripping this off because there's definitely been some stuff in game where certain things were derivative and maybe too derivative and like, oh, we should change that or whatever. Somebody got a little silly. But we've tried to deconstruct what we think the friction points are that lead to social interaction or certain dependencies or unlock the opportunity for certain abilities in the future or create certain mini milestones for the player. And the thing is, some people will churn because if you really wanted to play this beta, that is what you're right. That is true. That's how you sucker people in. That's how you fool me. So watch, that's gonna flood in now. Man. Damn it, Darius. But if you take the time to actually write up an interesting rationale, I do try to skim them sometimes. There's 16,760 again or something like that. So I'm not going to read them all. We're not going to read them all. That's what the lottery's for. But it's nice to kind of get a feel for some of what people are where they're coming from and stuff. And we see it in different sources. But we've tried to look at it and go, does this create an opportunity for someone to feel like they learned something? And some of that may sound like bullshit, but I don't know, man. When I go to a new neighborhood and I find my way around and I start to remember where stuff's at and I don't have to look at my phone or whatever, I feel that's a bit of accomplishment. And there are a lot of those moments. Hell, learning how to use Blender or learning how to use Unity, and you get these little tricks that come up, right? Where you're like, okay, enable zone spawners. This is maybe a really goofy example, but bear with me. So when you grab an entity in Unity, let's grab one of these guys. All right, so I can drag them around, and then you learn, all right, well, I can, depending on what it is, I might change my pivot, or this guy's kind of at an angle. If I use global, then that is actually lined up better for what I may want to do. But if I'm moving this guy around, I may want to move him around, but if I hit shift and control, it's a gray box, and I can grab this gray box. And now he's bouncing off the collision, because otherwise it'd go like this. And it's like, oh shit, I learned something. I learned a new thing. That's a little, pro tip. And we built a lot of that into the friction, right? Like just little, how do I even do this? How do I talk to something or whatever? And, I watched a professional game designer who was doing analysis of our game. And, not picking on the individual, but there's a lot of stuff where it's like, you just don't do this. Or, hey, they're doing this. No. And it's like, we're making a different game. And the approach, the mentality that I saw there is it is not wrong. The feedback is not wrong. It is wrong for what we are trying to do. And what we're trying to do has inherent risks to it. It has downsides. And so we churn a lot of people on the front end. We churn a lot of people in the first hour, the first 30 minutes. By a lot of people, I'd say we easily churn 20 to 30% of the people that try the game. Right there, 30% churn within the new user experience. But the reality is, if you're looking at metrics, and if you're product managers out there or producers at other companies, you can let me know if I'm wrong. But depending on the type of product that you're making, a 70% retention beyond that point's not bad. So we hard churn 30% of the people that come in. That number could go up to 40%. That number could go up to 50%. The question I have is, given what we are, what is the retention like on the other 50% or 60% of 70%? And we see in our metrics, we have really solid retention. And it's not just day one retention or D7 retention. Over the course of 3 months, we see how many of those uniques come back, and then how many of what hours they're putting in. And people are putting in significant hours on a beta. And that's not just the 20% or so of the beta that has 500 hours or more in the last 3 months. Rondi said 19-year game producer, 70% is awesome for a game like this. I would expect much harder churn. And what we've found is we would see it in all of it, and this is consistent from playtest to playtest over, the last 2 years or whatever. I do think there's something to the new player document being a multi-page document for new people to read. Like something bad. Yeah, I think a number of people don't want to read that. But a number of people are looking, like a number of people get they buy, Microsoft Flight Sim or whatever 2027, and they get the book and they're just like, oh, like there are some people that want to read the manual. There are some people that want a game that has a manual, but they're like me. I don't read any manuals. I don't. But I like the idea that there's so much shit in there that there's a manual. I love that there's 10 source books to understand this shit, but I just want to get in and start poking at stuff. Manuals are good for pooping. That is true. 24 years old, but a font of knowledge. Wise beyond your years. Junkyard Unicorn said, my friend and I have never played EQ and are fully addicted. That is nice to hear, and thank you for the follow. Maka, thank you for the follow as well. I we'll see, man. We may be sitting here in December of this year or January of next year going, yeah, everybody was right. But we do hear a fair amount from people that it's, again, it's was it? Is it selection biased, or we know that we're biased towards wanting, hearing what we want to hear, but the plan was always to anchor ourselves in an established base of people who understand the reference, right? Like they get like, hey, this is what games were like in 1999 because I played games in 1999, MMOs. That was our core. That's who we established the core of the community with. But we believe that we can make a game that would resonate with people who are looking for something that does feel unique and has these specific properties to it. Bebop Man 93 said I left after 5 minutes of the last open beta. Tried again this test and got hooked. LOL. One of the EQA Nostalgia in an early video tried the game and made a video about it. Tried the game, rage quit, went into the kitchen. I think I'm remembering the story correctly from the video. Was completely pissed off at how pissed off he was at the game because he was hoping to love it. I think his wife said, "Babe, it sounds like what you're mad about sounds like what you're looking for in a game." I think he agreed, went back down, and sat down, and played the game and started enjoying it. Right? Like I don't know, man. How many of you guys played like the original NES? How fortunate were we that those controllers were like the Nokia of controllers, right? Like, yeah, there's going to be some rage quitting. And now people say, but that was a different age. People have other things they can do with their time. Oh, of course, for sure. They did back then. They, some of them should have. My wife came over. And some folks did not play Shadowgate as children, or Mega Man, or Gapco said my first week I quit Eminem 2 times. Yeah, the hope is that if you quit, you calm down, you come back. It's part of it. I don't know. Creecrawl said last question while they have it, Dwarven Monk. Thanks. You never know what's going to unlock over time, is all I can say. Frederick said, churn point for first corpse run. Yeah, the question is, do you think about that corpse? Do you go to bed that night going, am I a quitter? Am I really a quitter? Is this what it's come to? Summer LW said, this is my favorite game of all time and it's not even out yet. We appreciate that. Can we do another round of friend invites for those of us that got in via friend invites? My wife really wants to play with me. That one's been a hard one to manage. Additional rounds of friend invites. Confirmed and clipped. Perfect. Cried the first time your spellbook dropped, came back the next text though. Don't be a quitter. I'm just listening to like ambient Silent Hill music. I wonder if that's gonna give me a ding at this point. Sorry VOD watchers, if I've been silent for no, they don't actually silence it. I forgot to loop our playlist. Shit. I was like, that's not our music. Listen to the Silent Hill ambience all the time. Go to track. There's a zone that you'll like then, coming up. My dog has his squeaky ball. Kratom, hey, thanks. Hopefully, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I had no power yesterday because they were updating, like rewiring the apartment. So I had no power yesterday. And of all the random games I picked up, he's so cute. Of all the games I picked up, I just like I grabbed my Switch and was just kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna sit here because I was waiting on something. My phone was going dead, and I was just kind of like, oh, let me play something. And I hopped in, was playing. What is the? I forget the name of it now. It's the super cute Zelda. The very plasticky looking one on the Switch. I need to get some. I realized when I sat there, I was like, dude, I need to throw on some more games onto this. I want to just get like some old JRPG games on the Switch. Mina the Hollower. Link's. I think it was Link's Awakening, with a really dope plastic art style. I forgot how much I love that. Mina the Hollower. Okay. Oh, cool. All right. That looks cool. Yeah, maybe Chrono Trigger. So I don't forget. Because I'll absolutely forget after this conversation. Because I sort of had it around for like, whatever, bathroom / laying in bed for 15 minutes kind of setup. And it was nice I would just play Stardew Valley or something. Link. Well, was there? It's not Awakening then. Oh, 2019. Maybe it was Awakening. Yeah. Xenogears. Fair point. Okay. I'll wind up buying these. I'll probably buy them like this weekend, and there's more of a chance that I'll actually pick up the Switch and play for 15 minutes than there has been with then there, like, I've yet to I bought Crimson Desert and Arc Raiders and I've yet to play. So oof. Oh yeah, Wizardry is on there, isn't it? The remake. All right, that takes precedent. Sorry. Cool. All right, no more suggestions. Otherwise, I'm just going to feel bad about the fact that I don't have time. And anytime I'm doing, if I'm not playing M&M, if I'm not working on M&M and I'm not playing M&M, then I just kind of feel like I'm cheating you guys. I'm failing you and the team. Did I ever get around to listening to Final Fantasy 11 OST? Yes. And it's funny, back before our soundtrack got so robust, I would just be, I would have nights where I would do something like just play it. I used to play the heck out of the old school RuneScape OST as well. It's good stuff. Rondo said, Souls-likes became a beloved genre for good reason. Taught me that there's probably an audience for just about any type of hardcore game. I think a lot of it just comes down to execution and... Yeah. There was a question. Validax said, looking forward to it then, is the music more Silent Hillish or the zone as a whole? The zone is very inspired by like fog and weirdness. So cool. All right, I am rolling up on... Ooh. Bald Cage said, hope Eminem gets an amazing sea shanty and underwater OST. I mean, I have no doubt Robert's going to do wonders. Nacho says, speaking of story-heavy games, will we ever get more lore about the world on the website? Blog post, pretty please? You may get some in that way. I think there's something to providing just a taste, a smidge. I've tried to put in a lot of little hooks in the stuff that we've written. You know, but we're gonna... There may be a push or a plan to try to get more in game than what you're seeing before EA, but not to where you see it before EA. That's something we've discussed in the past, and that's something that, like, you know, tech writer, wink wink. It would be nice if we're able to, on a few things, have some stuff in our back pocket before EA, that, because it's not critical for you to test, that we then make available once we go into EA, you know, or maybe move a thing around or two or something like that. So we'll see. I'm not trying to like underhandedly promise anything, but there have been thoughts. All right, so it is time. Classical said, Sean low-key playing Crimson Desert nonstop confirmed. Man, I wish. Honestly, I would just feel so bad. The team's got so much to do. My guilty pleasure, to be honest with you, is hopping in. If I'm in here populating a zone or something like that, I'll have Discord open and I might have Reddit open or whatever, and just trying to stay up on that and respond to something. So if you see me responding or being silly in Discord, I swear I'm not slacking. It's like, all right, I'm waiting on a response or something. I'm context shifting. You know, doing some work where I can take a break for a second and look over and go, what's on fire? But I just, the true guilty pleasure is like, hey, I'm going to take 2 hours today and just log into one of my characters and play. And it's so awesome. I haven't been doing very much customer service lately because the GM team has just been on top of stuff, and we've got robust coverage now. But it was so fun, like hopping into a character and seeing the guys that I've dealt with, and seeing some of the names running around, and they're, you know, hey, here's a buff, or hey, you know, someone gave a tuna buff or whatever, or we're out somewhere, or get PK'd, or have I PK'd anyone? No, not successfully. I've gotten in a few engagements, but no, I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's not even gonna try to be proud. I'm often, I will, or am I one punch? I am not. I cannot confirm or deny that. Have you accidentally trained someone and they died? Ever? Yeah, for sure. Classical said, I feel ya. The only game I play is Eminem on Friday, Saturday, unless I'm doing a beta test for something like EQL. Yeah, it's It really is one of those things where I know a lot of people right now, with the class changes coming and with EA coming, a lot of people are like, hey man, there's no shame in prioritizing other stuff for your, with your time at all. No shame in that. Can you, before I go, can you get some rogue teasers? Buddy. He brought over his ball and his rabbit. So that's 2 trips. He made 2 trips. We've got the rabbit and the ball next to us now. He's bribing me. He really wants to be on stream. Is that it? Where are you going, Ronnie? Gonna show me your ball? All right. Yep. You always dip your head down too low, buddy. No one can see you. Rogue getting bribe is confirmed. That was the secret clue. Oh, classic cool. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. And somebody decided he was going to jump in the drainage ditch behind the gardens last weekend because all the clippings for where we were trimming all the weeds and stuff, I guess, made it look like he could land there. So he smells wonderful now. He had a nice bath, and that's and he was very good about it. What's his name? His name is Rune, Rune, because we were gonna go with Ziggy too, but felt that might not be appropriate for the buddy. All right, guys. It is 2 hours and 52 minutes into the stream. Somebody, let me look. Do we got... Wolfen, you've been in here with us. We're gonna stream Wolfen. I don't believe I've been in his stream before, so but he was in here. Criddle's here was here earlier as well, but Wolfen's a nice dude. Let's hook him up then. We appreciate Criddle. And we're going to raid Wolfen. Nachos, Gana, Kaim. Have you given Criddle the raid promise? I haven't. Okay. Next raid goes to Criddle. Next raid goes to Criddle. You're very welcome for the stream. Let's raid. You're good? Okay. I was gonna feel guilty. Let me see if I can find Wolfen. Because I'm technologically challenged now. I'm at that age. There we go. We're going to start the raid now, guys. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. If the weather's good, please go outside and touch grass. And Enjoy the weather. Get some air. And be sure to... yeah, keep an eye out for Sunday. Enjoy the rest of the playtest, those of you that are in. Everybody take care. All right? And I'll see you next week. I'm sorry, I'm missing your comments.